the ultimate road to success is about the company you keep. And it's a two-way street.
Bryan Baeumler is a renowned media personality, contractor, and entrepreneur with decades of experience in both building and renovating. As the face of Baeumler Approved, Bryan has established a trusted network that connects homeowners with vetted contractors who meet his high standards in the industry.
If that contractor is not willing to provide a resolution as we ourselves would, you're not welcome at the party anymore.
Known for his expertise both on camera and off camera, Bryan brings a wealth of knowledge from running successful companies to managing large-scale projects with a focus on quality and integrity.
It's not about the mistakes you make, it's the mindset you have. You make a mistake, you have to fix it.
With his passion for excellence and a keen eye for detail, Bryan Baeumler continues to be a leader in the construction and renovation world, inspiring homeowners and trades alike.
It's a lot easier to train than it is to untrain. I would rather hire someone that walks in the door and says, I don't know how to do that. Because I can show you. Yes. You can learn.
Welcome to Blueprint Banter. Do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. Doing so allows me to bring in amazing guests and keep the content rolling. Plus, you get notified right away when we release a new video, which I'm sure you're going to want to know. So, without further ado, let's dig in. Today, we're going to be talking about Baeumler Approved.
Thank God we're not recording this on cameras.
No, but before we get into Baeumler Approved, I actually want to talk about you.
Oh, let's talk about me.
How you got into the trades. Like, you weren't always in the trades.
My dad was a blue-collar guy and owned a metal shop at the airport. He started that the year I was born. Okay. 1974. So, I mean, I grew up surrounded by tools, working in the shop. I worked some summers as aircraft maintenance, ground equipment maintenance. So always in that vein. But I also, my dad worked hard enough that he sent my brother and I to private school.
Right.
So I was in private school, wearing a suit and tie. And the unspoken joke in there was, if you mess up in here, you're going to end up out there working with the maintenance guys. And it really never made sense to me because I thought, well, I want to work with the maintenance guys. But I want to own the company that the maintenance guys work for. So at 14 years old, I opened a little company with a friend of mine up at the cottage called the Moon River Handyman.
Okay.
And we spent summers in the boat, clean up garbage, painting sheds. Then we got hired actually by his brother, who was a framing contractor, to drive the boat into Perry Sound and pick up lumber. And then it was carry it up here. And then it was measure that piece and cut that piece and here pound a few nails in. And before you knew it, it was cut those valley jacks and finish the roof and sheet the house. And so we did our apprenticeship hours for framing with him.
Oh yeah.
And I went, after high school, I went to university. I did a degree in political science and started business. And then I moved out to Vancouver and bumped into my friend, Pat, that I had this handyman company with.
Yeah.
And he was building beautiful homes on the West Coast, under Powers Construction. I was like, oh, I don't want to go to law school. I want to go back to trade school. So I came back to Toronto. I went to George Brown, did the Part 9 building code courses and started Reno Tech. And then I opened my own construction company and that was it.
So you've been in the trades for a while. You've done
I've been for a bit. Yeah. With a couple of detours.
Yeah.
During the year I took off between university and going back to trade school, I opened a company at the airport. So they always had that entrepreneurial thing, but it was loading and unloading and chartering cargo airplanes.
Right.
But again, it was driving the tugs. It was loading things. So I always wanted to be tactile. I had a real tough time sitting in the office just moving paper around.
Yeah. It's hard.
It is
That's
hard
for sure.
But it's an important pice of the business.
Yeah, it is. We're going to actually dig in a little to that about the behind the scenes about what happens in a construction business. But I really want to talk about what it was like to be a young contractor for you, because people see you now as celebrity TV guy. It's got the construction business, everything's going well. But we know
been living in a van down by a river, literally. In the RV for the past 6 weeks. Shooting a show.
That's not bad.
It's very glamorous.
Yeah. Happy though, exciting times. But a lot of people, when they start out, they have a lot of fears about starting out and getting the necessary. Do you have the necessary skill sets to do the work? And what happens when you hit that first big mistake?
Yeah.
Can we talk about the first memory that you have of really messing up?
Oh, there've been so many. It'd be hard to pick just one. I think it's not about the mistakes you make, it's the mindset you have. And if you're in business for yourself and you make a mistake and you're owner operator and you're the one on the tools and working, your time doesn't cost you financially. I mean, it costs you, it takes away from your family and your home life and your,
correct. Yeah.
That kind of things. But you make a mistake, you have to fix it. And if you have that mindset going into business that, everybody makes mistakes. Everyone's going to make, a lot of mistakes. It's the best opportunity to learn. But you have to have that mindset that I made a mistake. I'm going to learn from this mistake and I'm going to fix it and put the time in that I need to and turn that around. I think you'll see people that, have grown their business and have, scaled their business. It's not because they never made mistakes.
No.
It's because of their reaction to the mistake, and they use that as a learning opportunity. Yeah.
And if you make these mistakes and you have, I know you're just not going to tell me a story about a mistake that you made. That's cool.
I'm trying to think. There's probably a lot. There's a few things on TV that may look like mistakes.
TV is separate.
It is separate. I mean, we had one time we came in and we were shooting a bathroom floor, and the guys had already tiled it. On a day we didn't capture any. And they said, well, we need to see a couple of tiles go down. I said, well, I'll just throw down a piece of plywood and I get a piece of underlayment. I'll staple it down real quick. You get a close-up shot of the tiles going down.
Yeah.
Well, they aired me stapling down the underlayment. So, of course, all the comments, they go, what kind of idiots? Yes. And I thought,
here we go.
I mean, I'm not even going to explain. I'm like me, I'm not even going to explain the backstory. It doesn't matter. I learned very early on. I remember a fireplace, 20 some odd foot high fireplace that we framed, and it was a little bit out of level. And then it was sheeted, and it was a little more out of level. And then it was tiled, and it was more out of level. And when it was finished, I looked at this thing, and I said, guys, we could have fixed this at the framing stage.
Yeah.
But now it's a big mess.
It's a big mess. Yeah. What about the clients? What about the first time I made a mistake in my construction business, and I've made a lot, like we all have.
I heard.
Thank you. Yeah. Steve tracks them actually.
Yeah.
But the clients, the attitude of the clients, some clients are amazing when you own up to them. Others aren't.
Yeah.
What advice would you say to a new because we're all about me is all about contractors and the trades. And I want to talk about what it is for BA and what BA can do for contractors and trades. But what advice do you have for a new contractor who makes that first mistake and is dealing with that first client who kind of goes off the rails, right?
I think it's transparency right from up front. I mean, communication is so important in this business. If you can communicate with people, if your intentions are genuinely good, you want to run a company, you want a satisfied client, as everybody does. You're going to make mistakes, and you can't paint over them and hide them and just say, I hope nobody notices. I think transparency is the easiest thing. The first opportunity you have to communicate, here's what happened. It's not going to cost you money. It's going to cost me time and money, and we're going to fix it and rectify it. And I think people really appreciate that. So it's transparency. At the end of the day, you are in a relationship with the person that you are working for or with. And like any relationship, I think you have to have those difficult conversations and you have to communicate, even if it means someone saying, Ryan, what kind of bonehead are you? How could this happen? You say, well, I am a bonehead today. However, my intention is not to leave you with something like this. We're going to rectify it. Here's how we're going to rectify it.
Yeah.
And maybe you have to make some concessions now to make them feel better. But that's all about owning a business. It's much more difficult when you're a single operator, owner operator, because it's every hour is your time. The bigger your business grows, the less of the total percentage those things cost you.
Yeah.
I always say you hire your first employee and you're giving away half of your revenue.
Yes.
Your second employee is a third, your fourth is a quarter. You go on. Imagine when you have 15, 20, 50 employees, add an employee that's 2% of your bottom line.
Right.
It's inconsequential. So in those early days, you have to eat some mud. You got to stay late on a Friday. I do recall working on a job in the early days, probably 25, 27 years ago, doing a kitchen backsplash in a condo downtown here.
Oh God.
I mean, back then I would get on the highway. I would drive 3 hours to do a one-day job if I had to. And on a Friday night, at 5:30 p.m. All I'm thinking is I want to get out of here. It's Friday. I want to go home. I ran out of grout.
Yeah.
Because I had mixed one too sloppy.
Yeah.
So I ran out. I had about 3 square feet left on this thing. And I thought, my God. So I went out, I took the elevator down. I got my truck. I drove to the hardware store. I picked up a bag of grout. I drove back to the condo, tried to find parking, back up the elevator. And I didn't get home until 2:00 in the morning. But you know what? I finished the job. The guy wanted it finished, got the job done, cleaned up, loaded everything in the truck, went home with my tail between my legs. Yeah.
That's like how many times have I fucked up grout? I don't know. So many times, you know.
You
little too much water.
Yeah, you've got to trust the measurements they put on the bag.
Read the bag.
Yeah. And one of the most important lessons I've learned, over the years is read the instructions. Yeah. They're there for a reason.
Yeah. Talking about scaling the business. Because that's what I really want to talk about, scaling the business, specifically how you scaled your business, and what advice you have for young contractors who hire that first employee. Because I always find when I'm talking to young contractors, they hire their first employee and then immediately fire their first employee.
Oh, yeah.
But what do you feel about that? Like scaling the business and talking about the back end?
Well, when it comes to personnel, I mean, they say hire slow and fire fast.
Yeah.
You have to bring people into the fold. Again, it's a relationship. You have to bring people in that you trust, that have the skill you need. To be honest, I would rather hire someone that walks in the door and says, I don't know how to do that. Because I can show you. Yes. You can learn. No problem. Than hire someone that walks in and say, I know everything about that. Because you're adopting all of their not necessarily their bad habits, but they're different habits. And if it's your company and your name and you've set it up a specific way, you want it done the way that you do it.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot easier to train than it is to untrain. But it's about people. It's about finding people that have the skills, people that you can trust. It's about, energizing them to work and giving them incentives that will keep them there. I would say, I've made mistakes in business as well, scaling when I got up to 8-10 employees and brought a general manager in. I was at that point we had started filming and I was busy, filming 60, 70, 80 hours a week, for months of the year. And I would come back to the office and realize we have $1 million worth of problems to solve. Yeah. We've got unhappy homeowners. We've got, and of course now with television and media, there's a brand liability there as well. Beyond just your moral, I want to make sure this is done properly. Now I have a group of people I'm paying, and then I'm paying them again to fix mistakes that they made, and I'm buying the materials again. And I've got people upset at me and upset at my brand, and I don't want that. That's why I put my name on the truck. I want to stand behind that. I'm not not a massive, multinational corporation that I can hide behind a share structure. Yeah. This is my name. So, you hire the wrong person and you have to pay for those mistakes and clean it up. And that's what I had to do. And then, you have to be very careful with partnerships as well and who you bring in. And that can get very messy very quickly. So I don't know in this business, because especially going from owner operator to scaling a business that is your own brand, I don't know that there's an algorithm for that. That it's very fluid. You have to manage your business, and it's so much dependent on the people that you put in place.
It is. It's funny because recently I've been doing videos and now I'm doing TV. And I feel the same way where I'm out doing something and I come back and I'm like, that's not the way I would have done it.
Yeah.
And then you have these conversations and my name by accident is also on the construction company. I started out small, Brampton Renovations, and it grew. And then once you grow, you can't take your name off of it.
Yeah.
It's there, right? And it's there forever, good, bad, or whatever. So, but a lot of young contractors are going out, and a guy who used to work for me, Joel, he's 28 years old. He just went out on his own, and I'm having all kinds of conversations with him about how to run and structure a small business, right? And because it all starts most of the time as a very small business. I
Sure
think
does.
you scale like we're talking about, and you go up and up and up, and then all of a sudden you realize that you lose control.
A lot of guys are operating as sole proprietors.
A lot.
And back in the day, that was what they did, which is a huge liability issue as you grow. But you know, they get into that first incorporated thing, and you have to know how to run a business.
Yes.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're running another entity.
Yeah.
As a business, you have to pay yourself. You have to pay your expenses. You have to know how to account for things. You have to know how to forecast and put some, hide some nuts in the tree for the winter when nuts aren't all over the place. But also you have to be careful on your pricing. There's a reason that larger companies, or companies that have been around for a while are more expensive. And that's that 5 years from now, when you have a warranty issue, that's still covered, they'll still exist.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to afford to come back and do that. I think the trades have changed over the years. Certainly how they're looked at. That stigma is kind of eroding because I think it's gone. I mean, it's been gone for a long time. We're kind of looked at like rock stars now. It's just cool to be able to build something tangibly, and run the business and make the money at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm, just to kind of loop back, like I consider myself a teaching firm. Yeah. I want young people who just graduated, who want to work, and then give them good habits.
Yes.
Build them into good contractors and let them cut them loose. So
you train them, and then they'll go start their own companies and compete against you.
That used to be
which
a thing.
Is great.
Now it's great. But back in the day, if your boss thought that you're out.
Yeah. It was game over. I love seeing, and we've had quite a few younger employees that go out on their own and start their own thing and do their own thing. And I think it's great. Yeah. If they...
there's enough work for all of us.
No, if that's what they want to do, it's all about how you exit.
Yes. Yeah. I could talk your ear off on that. So before we do, let's digress into Baeumler Approved. Let's talk about, I've been a long time member.
Yep.
And let's talk about why a new contractor would want to sign up with you guys, why it is you opened it. Because Baeumler Approved is all about good contracting. Yeah. Your TV show wasn't specifically geared like Mike's was, if I can bring up Mike, right? He kind of went down that road. You went down the homeowner road of
sure.
Yeah. But you're passionate about doing good work, and it shows not just in what you do with your company, but with BAs.
In the company you keep.
Yeah.
The ultimate road to success is about the company you keep. And it's a two-way street. So you have to be there. And back in the day before this was started, we would get 1,000 emails a week from across the country saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a plumber in Calgary." So, well, we're a small renovation company in Ontario.
Right.
But with the media side, it started to grow and some of the people we worked with, and we thought, this is a service for homeowners to just kind of give you that green flag. And the way I explain it, this is not saying, we have hundreds of contractors that are perfect for you. We have hundreds of contractors that love what they do. They're skilled. We've done the background checks. You have to do the background checks. You have to make sure that the insurance is there, that your liability is covered, your workers' comp. You have to make sure that they're well referenced, but not just, my uncle, my aunt, my sister, my brother wrote letters saying I'm amazing. We want to talk to trade references. So if you're a tile installer, your supplier knows your name because you're picking up a truckload of tile every week. You're not a unknown person.
Yeah.
So we wanted to provide this as a service to homeowners to really narrow down the field and narrow down the search of people that the background checks are done. Everything is there. These are companies that, share a mindset with us, that are out there to do good work, to take care of people, to communicate. Does it mean that every single one of them is perfect for you? No, this is a relationship. You're getting into it. You want to make sure that, first of all, here's a list of people that I don't have to worry about the paperwork. Now I have to find someone that I can communicate with, that I trust, that has the right skill set, that's in my neighborhood, in my area, and go from there. It's like being introduced to 10 girls at the high school dance. They're all lovely girls from great families and what have you, but there's only one in the crowd for you. So you have to go from there.
Your Baeumler Approved program, how long has it been around?
north of 10 years for sure.
No.
I think we are 12 or
Yeah.
12 or
Yeah.
15 years into it.
And over that time, your involvement, like you've been able to guide that company and set the quality standards.
Yeah.
What is it that a new contractor, I say a new contractor, but someone who wants to join the program, what is it that you're looking for quality, for type of work and that kind of stuff?
I mean, we're looking for trades to join the program that we can provide and present to the general public that, you're in business for the right reasons. You want to do a great job. You take pride in your work. You work hard. You want to utilize that and the marketing that comes along with the Baeumler Approved program to get you more business, to grow your business. We're looking for people that we can not only refer but market that aren't going to be an issue for not only for us but for themselves or for the homeowners, especially because this is a service to the homeowners. So we really want to set those contractors apart from the random truck on the highway as a really easy way for homeowners to recognize and say, those guys have their ducks in a row. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be here tomorrow. They're I'm not going to run into any of those problems.
Yeah, the disappearing contractor.
Exactly. And we do. I mean, again, it's people we're dealing with, and on a not a daily basis, but when we run into issues and we get feedback from homeowners, if people aren't aligned with our values and there's issues, we intervene and we try and come to a resolution. And if that contractor is not willing to provide a resolution as we ourselves would, you're not welcome at the party anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think the industry, since you started being on TV, which is definitely over 20 years now, right? Like you've been on TV.
It's been about 20 years.
Do you think the industry has changed in terms of the disappearing contractors? Like I know, for instance, Ottawa has a terrible name. We've had there's been a lot of contractors charged in the news in Ottawa for whatever reason, but
it's not just Ottawa.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you. You see more. I just see Ottawa.
Yeah.
What are you seeing? Do you think it's still happening everywhere? Do you think it's still a risk?
I mean, I think in any industry, there's the scammers in any industry that are going to get out there and try and take advantage of people. And the trades historically have been one of those things that, when the economy's bad, everybody's a contractor. They pop up out of nowhere. So you have to be careful of that. And again, the Baeumler Approved program is a way to say that, that's not just a guy that, lost his job yesterday and decided to put a sticker on his car.
Right.
But I think, now with social media and it's pervasive, it's pretty easy to do your research and see what's going on with somebody. But I don't know. There's still a lot of scammers out there.
There is, yeah.
But it's not just in contracting. There were a few shows about that back in the day, but it's not just the trades. It's everything. So people have to be wary getting into business anywhere, in any business. I mean, I think as the population increases, you're going to see more of that in any industry. It's not just contracting. Let's be realistic. There's you tend to hear about it more in the trades, in the blue collar sectors than you do in the white collar. But white collar, it's the same. It's the Ponzi schemes and the phone calls and the duct cleaning and all that kind of stuff. So
I want to dig into something here. So we talked about contractors' relationship with clients.
Yep.
We talked about relationships with clients and contractors and that. What about subs?
What about the subs?
Yeah.
Well, as a general contractor, you're the captain of the ship. It doesn't matter if it's a subcontractor or your employee. If you are the general contractor, you are responsible for that job. You're responsible for the subcontractors to make sure that they are insured, that they've paid their taxes now.
Yeah.
All of these things. And ultimately, that's what you're being paid either a cost plus on or a management fee on. And that is your responsibility. It's your liability. It's your responsibility. But it's also why you're valuable. So
because you can do it.
You can do it. And you have to be organized, and you have to assemble not only a great, set of employees, but you have to assemble a great set of sub-trades around you. That is really your value and your benefit, is your network.
How'd you do it?
Process of elimination. I mean, the same way everybody else does it.
Because people think, honestly, like you have such a big reputation in Canada. I don't think people realize that you probably went through the same thing that all other contractors have gone through.
Yeah, we edited a lot of that stuff out. I mean, to be honest, over the years, it's the same thing you've been through and everyone in the trades has been through. A lot of late night negotiations with homeowners around a table trying to get paid. A lot of chasing someone around to finish the job. A lot of apologizing on behalf of someone else. A lot of, staying late to fix something that someone I paid, messed up.
Yeah.
So a lot of that is process of elimination. You can, and again, it's the same. It all comes back to relationships. You can date a girl for 10 years. You can get married for 10 years. And all of a sudden there's a nasty divorce and it, leaves fire and dust in its trail. It's all about relationships. And until you're in that relationship and you have a history and you have time, you know how these people are going to react.
Right.
A sub-trade, if you call them and say, hey, I need you to go over and do this job. The guy's not stealing wallets and drinking their beer and leaving the house a mess. And so it's really about building relationships. And unfortunately, it's process of elimination.
I always find that I can tell the people who are going to be loyal to me the first time I call them with a problem and they answer the phone and how long it takes them to come back.
Right.
If I call my drywaller and say, hey, man, the corner bead's on crooked. If he's going to say to me, I'll see you in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He doesn't respect what I'm,
right.
But if he's there right away and apologetic, then I know it's someone that I want to work with. But I want to be able to express from you, I guess, that you've been through it all. You've seen the same thing. The stuff challenges that I'm seeing right now.
Yep.
I know one day we were doing something together and I overheard you talking about construction and I was like, he's living the same life I'm living.
Yeah.
You just happen to be on TV.
Yeah. That's really the only difference. Things have evolved. The company's grown, obviously. I was owner operator with one guy. I had a young kid working for me, helping me. And I was the guy doing the demo and the framing, and I was mudding and taping the basements. And that was me. I mean, it grew slowly and grew slowly. And there's a point where you become, and this was something really interesting, actually, that our general managers at the hotel told us last year. You tend to come in to a business and you micromanage. Even if I get to a site, I'm like, oh, let me help you with this. And there's a point where the general manager said to us, leave, leave the office, go down. You've provided your list of feedback. Go be an owner. Right. So there's a time in the growth of the business when you have to guide the business. And if you get too granular, you lose sight of the bigger picture, and it's very hard to scale and grow and focus on, getting into a 600-acre development when you're
worried about caulking on trim,
straightening up nails.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that stuff, you have to take note of that stuff or have the people in place that will take note of that stuff. And maintain that, the level that you want to be at. But again, it's such a fluid, as soon as humans are involved, it's such a fluid process. There's no mathematical way to do it. But it all boils down to relationships.
So it's good that you say relationships. I know you've talked about relationships a few times because I want to close on two different things. One is, I said I've been a member of BA for a long time. And one of the things that I've appreciated the most about BA is not necessarily the leads and the advertising, all of those things, because the industry is really busy. And while those things are great, the friendships that I've forged with other like-minded people is amazing. And I find when I was a new contractor, I used to come home and talk to my wife, my new wife at the time. She said, how was your day today? And I'm like, well, I was lonely. I tiled a floor all by myself in a room all by myself. I had no one to talk to. I had nothing, and now I find, guys, the company's growing. And as I've worked with BA over the years, there's so much going on. People are calling me saying this or that, the other thing. And then I call it the Baeumler Approved Network. Yeah. It's
and that we've seen that in a lot of cities. Ottawa is one of them. Toronto is one. Calgary, another. I mean, really every major city where, not only can a homeowner see the sticker on your truck and say that guy's got his, he's got all his T's crossed and his I's dotted, but contractors can see each other's trucks. Yeah. And say that guy operates his business the way I do.
Yeah.
We're gonna be buddies.
Yeah.
So we've seen those networks grow when people work together. And not only that, then now there's inter-referrals between those companies, which is fantastic, amazing. I mean, this, ultimately this is more of a club where it's like the good people's club.
Yes.
Where other people can recognize each other, and we're all in the same business. We all go through the same thing.
Right.
And there's great opportunities to chat about. I'm the same. I kind of say, I'm in this weird world between construction and media, and there's very few people that understand that. Then knowing people in the network, that's my contractor side, and then there's people on the media side, and then there's people like yourself that kind of bounce in and out, and a lot of people now are content creators themselves, and which is great, and that's you're a broadcaster as well.
Yeah.
So all that, I'm not as lonely either.
No.
It used to be lonely. 5 a.m. on the highway for 2 hours every morning, and on the way back. Yeah, it's a lot of thinking time.
A lot of thinking time.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the show, Bryan.
Well, thanks for having me anytime.